Okay, because I was wondering, I said, ooh, I said, I haven't even heard back. But I have it. I sent it through my personal, A. King Meredith at Yahoo. Okay, let's see. Finance. Calendar, where's my calendar at? My clocks is off. I just knew I was gonna be late this morning. I got my clocks.
And you got here right on time.
Yeah, I thought my clock, I even turned around and went back to get Robin's stuff.
Yeah.
And I said, ooh, I only got 15 minutes to get here.
Made it.
Yeah. Oh, God. Okay. Get me open up. Come on, open, 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 open.
Buenas. It is 9:03, and I'm calling to order the 14th of May West County Wastewater Finance and Administration Committee meeting. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Director King Meredith,
Present.
Chair Sedes,
Aquí.
we have a quorum.
Gracias, Puxiada. Now it's time for public comments for items not on the agenda. Public comments. members of the public may comment during this time, up to 3 minutes per speaker. Directors may ask brief clarifying comments, but may not engage in discussion during public comment made during this time. Same goes for staff. Madam Clerk, have we received any public comments or requests to speak at this time?
We have not, but if anyone wishes to speak on non-agenda items at this time, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no public comment.
Thank you very much. At this time, I will ask Deputy General Manager Justin Level, will you please lead us through the remainder of today's agenda, sir?
All right. Good morning.
Buenos.
This item 1 on the agenda is to accept the minutes of the April 9th, 2026 Finance and Administration Committee meeting. Madam Clerk, have we received written comments on this item or request to speak?
We have not. If anyone wishes to speak on item 1, minutes, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no public comments.
All right, Director King Meredith, did you have any comments, corrections, or did you want to move the item? Madam?
Not at this time, none. But
Do you want to move the item?
okay, yes. I would like to accept the minutes for, I'm sorry,
March.
March the 12th, 2026, of the Finance and Administrative.
And so it shall be. Thank you.
Oh, this is April 9th.
Is it April the 9th?
Yes.
Oh,
April 9th.
April, May, I'm sorry. Corrections, April the 9th.
Did a correction. It just had a correction for March, that's all. Oh, God. And so it shall be, Madam?
Okay.
Sir?
Okay. So item 2 on the agenda is to receive the fiscal year 2027 budget update report and authorize staff to present the report to the full board at a future board meeting. Madam Clerk, have we received written comments on this item or request to speak?
We have not. If anyone wishes to speak on item 2, fiscal year 2027 budget update, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no public.
All right. With that, I'd like to introduce Maria Bagley, our finance manager, to give us a presentation on the fiscal year 27 budget update. Well, I guess before I just give a little introduction, additional introduction, is that, you know, as you recall, the board adopts 2-year budgets. So this is last year, on every odd-numbered year, to adopt a 2-year budget. So last year, the board adopted fiscal year 26 and 27 budget, and so now this is not as a robust update, because we are just updating what was presented to the board for fiscal year 27 last year. So with that, we'll turn it over to Maria. Maria?
Good morning, Chair Sedith and Director King Meredith. I'm Maria Bagley, the Finance Manager. Before I start, I just wanted to give credit to our financial analyst, Albany Allen, who's unable to be here to present this today because she did the vast majority of this work and put this presentation together. So as Justin said, as part of the biannual budget review, this is an update to fiscal year 27, which was essentially completed in fiscal year 25. And we're going to compare the numbers that were adopted for FY27, the budget, and recommend some adjustments based on our updated assumptions as well as operation needs. So this budget update supports the district strategic plan by making sure our financial plans continues to reflect our current priorities and our current operating conditions. This update touches on all major strategic goals. It supports our infrastructure and optimization throughout funding, repairs, capital outlay, and system reliability. It supports the environmental leadership portion of our strategic plan by accounting for the clean and green and other operational impacts from that. And it supports our integrated systems through technology and data improvements. And it supports our updated capacities and professional benefits or professional development cost. Most importantly, though, because part of the strategic goal is our fiscal responsibility. So it's helping to align our projected revenues and expenses with the long-term goal for the district's financial plan. So this is just an overview slide. So right here, you can see on that first column, you have FY27 adopted and then our proposed amendments. Just going to bring out to you that there is a roughly 9.5 million increase in revenues. The assumption is based on the recommendation of a 12% rate increase for the sewer service charges, pending the full board's approval in June. And then we also have updated our expenditures, when you can see that is about 10 million or a little over $10 million in adjustments, with the biggest adjustments coming really from personnel and supplies and services, and the largest adjustment is in our capital outlay and expenses. So that's once again just investing in our current infrastructure. So we have a lot of current initiatives for this fiscal year that's coming up. So we have right here about 5.1 million, which is a lot to do with our planning studies. So odor mitigation, our additional equipment cost, minor facility improvements, I'm going to call that, vehicle replacement, minor infrastructure upgrades, and as well as spot repairs. So spot repairs are really driven by the CSO team, just fixing minor repairs in the sewer line. All right, we also have the TAP, the TAP initiative that was just approved at the 5-6 board meeting. That's going to go into our technology, which is our SCADA system assessment for about $150,000. The Tyler ERP cloud migration, which was approved in fiscal year 26 but delayed until this fiscal year, GIS software support, as well as process automation and documentation. So you have just shy of 400,000 there. We also have professional development for the board of directors. We have these underlying categories. So we're projecting that this year we will end about 93,000, and we are recommending to update that to about 97,000 for fiscal year 27, which is a modest increase. So on the community sponsorships, this is what we do as a district to engage our community organizations such as the National Stewardship Council, the Well Conference sponsorship, the El Sobrante Stroll, the Contra Costa Science Fair, and CASA Educational Foundation. Thank you. So once again, the purpose is including the slide is just to show how the district continues to support community engagement, education, and partnership to align with the broader public service mission.
And if I just want to, just real quickly on the community sponsorship, something that we can come back after the presentation discussing kind of would like to put a budget number in there, and because that is inconsistent with our community funding or sponsorship policy.
Exactly.
So just to decide on an appropriate budget amount for this next year.
And then I'll just go ahead and just state, it's examples of our, this is just some examples of this last recent year. It's not a comprehensive list. At different fiscal years, we've contributed to different organizations. So this is our budgeted revenue by source. Our biggest and largest contribution of our revenue is our sewer services charges, which have dropped to about 78%. They used to be about 89%, but with the agreement from Richmond to treat their biosolids, that is coming up. That's a significant jump because it's a brand new revenue source, and that's taking about 4.3%. We have property taxes still maintaining about, looks like 3%. Sorry, I can't read this. And then we have some bond proceeds remaining from the Clean and Green at about 13%. And then we have other operation, which is less than 1%. So this is the service contracts and smaller billings that we essentially do to help out other districts. So realistically, the increases from 9 to the 9.5 million is about 12%, which I stated earlier, which is adding to about $2.2 million in the increase of the 9. And that's going to be board approved, or will go up to the board for approval on June 3rd. The higher interest income, which is about 2 million as well. We have the biosolids operating agreement, which is just shy of 2 million. And then we have bond proceeds interest earning of about 6 million. And we've eliminated the capacity charge line. We're going to not be budgeting for that going forward. This is essentially the new connections into our system, because our system is pretty much built out. And we don't expect to receive very many of those, and we'll just start budgeting at a 0% right now. The status of our expenditures is approximately $48 million. The majority of it is made up by the personnel, about 41%-ish. Supplies and service account for 27%, and debt service is about 15.5%. And then the capital outlay, as you can see right there, is about 16, or let's just round up to 17%. And you can see the chart shows the adopted at 36, and then the proposed amended, which is at 48, with the largest increase really coming into the capital outlay and just putting more money into the infrastructure. Expense budget updates, we have an $11.2 million increase. You have the personnel increased about $2.8 million. This is an update for an adjustment in our pension UAL, so that's the unfunded liability obligations that we owe CalPERS, as medical cost increases, as well as approved MOU salary negotiations and agreements. Service and supply adjustments, that's about $2.3 million. And this has a couple of different things in here. You have some initiatives like the TAP that is built into this, as well as some inflationary pressures within just a general increase of cost. Insurance premiums adjusted for inflation. And then utility costs that have also increased, as well as chemical costs have increased. Just to note here, we haven't seen the savings from the Clean and Green with the decrease in energy cost. That will be expected in the future fiscal year, but it hasn't come online right now. As you all are aware, we have the solar and the battery backup system that we're trying to get in service, and that hasn't happened yet. Utilities have just increased, I want to say like 35-ish% when I was looking a year over year. Gas and cost increases have increased at about 40% from the time that we have done this, as well as just like I said, general inflation. We have not used any additional energy costs, right? So we're still using the same amount of power, it's just the prices have increased drastically. As well as chemical costs, we've been seeing on average 10 to 15% rise in chemical costs in order to treat the wastewater. And with Clean and Green, we do have additional chemicals that are needed to get that process started. So that is reflected in this budget as well. Non-operating expense has increased by approximately $6.1 million. This is, once again, new initiatives for capital expenses. So we're talking everything that we saw on that prior slide earlier with the new vehicles, the minor building repairs, the spot repairs, all that good stuff that's essentially going to help us deliver service better. We have some reserves based on policy. So we have our debt Debt service reserves, which is about $2.6 million. This is the reserve for the SRF loan, so we do have 4 SRF loans that are still remaining, and so we have to keep 1 year of all those SRF payments in a reserve. We also have a rate stabilization reserve, which is $5.2 million, so this is if we need to pull down to meet our debt coverage ratio of that 1.2 for the rating agencies and just, to be financially stable, we have that $5.2 million. We have the committed reserves, which is $200,000 for insurance. And then we have some working capital reserves. I want to bring to your attention that the operating reserve, the difference where you can see the 15.1 versus the 16.1, that is due to our policy stating that it has to be 50% of our operating expenditures. So as our operating expenditures increase, you would see that reserve increase as well. And this is really due to the timing of how we receive our sewer service payments, our sewer service charges from the county, with 55% coming in December. And this is the timing of the revenue, so we need to keep at least 50% in an account. Then we have our capital reserve, which is about $6.1 million. Our emergency reserve, which is 7% of our expenses, which is it's also increased because as our expenses increase, so does the emergency reserve, the 2.2 versus the 1.9. And then the equipment replacement reserve, which also slightly increased based on our fixed assets, which is about 2.3. So our total reserves that we should have for fiscal year 27 versus fiscal year 26 is 35 million versus 36. So on the final slide here, we have the proposed amended budget, where you can see the operating revenue. We have a total increase of about 3.9 million, mainly driven from our projected 12% increase in sewer service charge. The non-operating revenue, which has to do with the biosolid agreements and the bond proceeds, increase about 5 million, 5.5, which gives you the total of 9.5. On the expenditure side, we have personnel going up to 2.8, supplies and services 2.4, debt service staying really flat, and then the capital outlay. At this time, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Gracias for the presentation. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comment on this before we start?
If anyone has any public comment, again, we're on item 2, fiscal year 2027 budget update. Please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no public comment.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we have no comments for you.
Hi.
Sure, we don't.
Just have one
Yeah, see, that's what happens
when you do it.
when you have a headache.
Yeah.
When you have a migraine, you come in here and you make really crass jokes. Director King Meredith.
Yes, I just have one. I have a couple, but I'm gonna start with this one. I had to, my computer was going down. Thank you, Ms. Bagley. Back on, I guess, page 16, the one we just left, the last page.
Expense updates.
Yes, let me move to here.
It's the one that says FY 2027 expense budget updates, right? This one?
That was page 13? I think so.
I don't know. At 21 of 40.
FY 27 revenue.
Yeah, budget updates, yeah.
Yeah.
That one is on the screen up there.
Okay, well, it says,
Okay.
That's it.
okay. So, okay, my question is, with this 2027 revenue budget updates, has it taken in any consideration, or for us to take any consideration for the increase, for the rates increase that is going to be coming pretty soon for the 12%? is that for this, for the 27, or did you make room for it to really be started in 27?
So that's
the
what,
budget?
so the budget for '27 does have a little asterisk on it saying that we are projecting the 12% rate increase for the fiscal year '27 pending the June 3rd board approval. So I think I had that right there. Yeah, sorry. Projection based on the 12% rate increase pending June board approval.
Okay, that's pending.
That's a different one, yeah.
Yeah. So all these figures that you're seeing in the revenue side, right,
Yes,
are
that's,
saying that it's the 12%.
It's this one. It says it down there.
okay, so I had just missed, I got off when my computer was going down.
Yeah, it says pending June board approval.
Okay. So, Madam Chair, if you can go ahead and I can find these others, because it just
No
dropped.
problem.
Okay.
Okay. Back to the beginning.
Am I at the beginning? Strategic plan, there we go.
So my comments start with the actual staff report and then with the presentation.
Okay.
And it starts there because there's a couple of things that I wanted to bring to your attention. Because the staff report has a lot of base information in it, and that the presentation does not, my recommendation is that a lot of people won't read the staff report. Right? They're gonna listen to what you say, and they're gonna look at this presentation. And this staff report actually gives a lot more depth and information in it. So I would like to see more of this explanation and I know the presentation is meant to give just very good bullet points, but there's some things in the staff report that I believe are necessary so that, well, from a very selfish standpoint, we don't end up in a 3-hour discussion at the board meeting. And where we don't end up getting peppered while I'm trying to get my Brussels sprouts at the grocery store. I can go in and get them and leave. So part of this is this, like, the fact that when I look at this, it says sufficient funds are available to cover the proposed FY 2027 amendments. That's not in the presentation, right? So somewhere, and this is for you and Deputy General Manager, that has to be mentioned,
Okay.
that we have sufficient funds to cover it. Because I don't see that in the presentation, right? Or it wasn't said and it's not mentioned, it's just not there. But in the staff report, it's like highlighted in the summary, right? That you have the total operating revenue is 41.9 million, the total operating expenditures are 32.5. So you have this net of 9.4 million, but we have enough funds to cover it. So just say that. So it doesn't look like that we're going into a deficit spending, right? So that's what I want to see.
Okay.
The other thing is that I also want to see in the staff report itself, I mean, you did a good job of highlighting the strategic plan tie it in the staff report too. So if there is someone like me who likes to read the staff report, I can see the tie.
Okay.
And I started tying, putting the little, what do you call those little things? The little animated icons or whatever on the pages of the presentation. I like that. You put it on each page of there. It made it so much easier just to see it. It was really do that. That would be great. On the it's nice to have it on that one page, but it's really nice to see it tie. Going back to the staff report, and you mentioned that you started off, the deputy general manager started off saying that we have this 2-year budget, odd number of years. We adopted the FY 2026 and 2027 budget, and we're reviewing the amendments to that right now that's going to affect the 2027 budget. And this is going to let us, advance these strategic initiatives. I think that we're relying on people to remember, which is always a very dangerous thing, that some of these initiatives were already approved by the board. So you're going to have to remind them.
Okay.
You're going to have to remind them of a couple of things. Going through that, you did it in the staff report, for instance, revenues plus 9.5 million. It said that the staff projects that a $2.2 million increase in sewer service charge revenue to 35.7 million is based on the 12% increase as part of the proposed sewer rate plan. But it's not a 12% increase. The maximum is 12%, is what we approved. We didn't approve a flat 12%.
Increments.
We approved up to 12%, correct?
Yes, you approved up to 12%, but we're making the assumption that the board is going to approve the
So,
maximum.
I
at
think that
this
we
point,
have to
yes.
be very clear that that is what you are basing it on, the maximum of 12%. Because I have been queried on this already, that, it's just gonna be 12%, is a maximum of 12% based on what we need. So if we need 9.5%, it's gonna be 9.5%. If we need 11.5%, it's gonna be 11.5%, but it will not exceed 12%. So I want to make sure that that is clear and that we're saying that. But to say that it's gonna be 12% period is not what we're authorizing. What we're authorizing is we're giving the general manager and the rest of you the ability to go up to 12% if that is what is needed to conduct the operations of the district. But we're not saying just do 12%, period. And I want the public and I want the board to be clear that what we have looked at with the projections from Bartle Wells, with the committee looked at initially was, okay, if the maximum of 12% is going to be what we need over the 5 years, the maximum of 12%, based on what the estimates coming from staff says, the estimate, right? Because we don't know what we don't know, right? The estimate says it looks like we'll need somewhere around 12%. Then I think we need to be very clear and transparent that it could be 12%, but it could be less. So the maximum we're going to do is 12%. But it may not be 12%. It might be, but we might surprise you and say it's 10.5, but we might not. But that 12% is based on our projections from what we know now.
Yeah, if I could just make a comment on that.
Go ahead.
So, we've done the study. We definitely need 12% this next year.
Okay,
Like,
then that's what
so
we,
I
that's
think
next year, that's
Future years,
27.
fiscal year 28, 29, so we're going to look at it on an annual basis and determine, do we still need 12%? Or
Yes.
could we go with a little less? And so we will be able to come back to the board at that time for future years to say, we've sharpened our pencils, we looked really closely, we know that there was an approved maximum, we think we can go a little bit lower.
But
that-
I want that said.
But for right now?
Yes.
Yeah, it's definitely, we need 12% this
But
next
I
year to
want
meet
that
the
said.
objectives.
I know,
Right.
because that's what we talked about, but I want that to be said. You understand?
In the
So I
staff
think
report
that
and-
needs to be iterated to the public, because right now, I'm telling you, we are getting besieged from our neighbors and from everyone else that this is flat 12% for the next 5 years. And there's not what we approved. We approved up to 12% based on what we know. And what we know now is we needed 12% for 27, and we're going to go back and take a look back for the next years after that. So I just want to say it for the record, right? That is 12% because we know what we know for 2027, right? I mean, for 28, 29, 30, 31, we're going to take a look at it. It might be 12%. but it might be less. Does that make sense? Okay?
You can update it, yeah.
Yeah. So you understand what I'm asking, Deputy
Yes.
General Manager? You
Yeah, so
understand?
it's, I mean, for this budget cycle, as part of the rate plan, it's the most certain next fiscal year versus 3 years from now or 2 years from now.
But I want to say that it's based on what we know.
Right.
I think that's what I'm asking is to say that, based on what we know, on the estimates that we have been given, based on what we know, this is what is needed for the operations. I
Right.
think that's what I'm asking for.
Yeah, and I think to also add is based on what we know, but based on what the board has directed us to do. If
That's
we're
why I
talking
asked you to
about
tie the
on the
strategic plan.
strategic plan,
But
the
the-
capital funding, this is what is needed for us to be able to deliver
That's what
the
I'm
strategic
asking.
plan.
I'm asking you to tie it to the strategic plan based on what the board told you to do, these one, and based on what you know in order to do what the board has directed you to do. And right now, it doesn't say that, right? Do you understand what I mean? Tie those together.
Okay.
And the third part of that is based on what we know that the community needs.
Got it.
Because the other side of that is the community method, the board is just spending the money. But no, we know that you need these sewers. Use a sewer line replaced because you keep calling us. You call us and tell us something stinks over here. Something's not working. Okay, in order to fix that, there's a cost to that, right? And the cost of that is what you guys have given us an estimate for. And then we came back and said, okay, there's a price tag to that. So we've given you direction based on what we know needs to be done. All of that has to tie together. And there's where this 12% comes from. Okay? So I just want those all tied together. And the staff report kind of says it, but it doesn't say it once it comes into a presentation for the public. Does that give any clarity?
Very clear.
Because my Claritin is not working.
Yes, we understand what point you want us to make.
Thank you.
So, there'll also be, as you just, what will be going to the board in the near future, there's the rate plan, then there's the adopted budget. So in the next several board meetings, there will be multiple opportunities for us to reiterate these points that you're making.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And now, the interest rates, the projection for the interest rates, we always know that they're a projection. When do we receive the actual statements?
We receive the actual statements monthly.
Monthly? In the month, beginning of month, 15?
End of the month.
In the month. So I would just say that. You don't have to print it. I would just say it.
Okay.
Say we receive when we receive the interest rate statements at the end of the month, we're able to see, we take a look back and we're able to see that, and we've been able to see that for the last, 6 months, and realize that we have received more money than we initially
Planned.
projected or planned. I would say that. It's always good to see more money than we thought. I like to take a conservative approach and say, see, I gave you $6 million more dollars, 5 million, or $500,000 more. And the biosolids, it's not the small increase, 62,000 is 62,000, right? Same thing. And the property tax, same thing. We receive our property tax revenue. It's paid in December and February, so you find out in April.
So, yeah, the residents pay in December and February, or April, right? And then we receive it October, December, April, and
Yeah,
June.
there's different, because it's different times. There's secured, the county unsecured, and they kind of give you a catch-up, so we get a small chunk in the fall.
October, yeah.
Then we do get additional in December, the secured portion December, a portion.
55% of it.
55, and then we get some in April, and then there's a little catch-up in June. So it's over kind of several different deposits.
Yeah,
we
I
get
know you
that.
get
But
some-
we have an estimate at the beginning of the fiscal year, so the county does provide us what their estimates are based on the assessed value.
Yep.
So I would just mention that, just mention, we get them, 60, 90 days after, or 30, 60 days after the payments are made by the
The residents?
residents, homeowners, business owners, whoever. I don't think you have to go into the secured, unsecured, or whatever, but that gives people some idea of when we know when the money's coming in and why there's an increase that you can't really plan for because you don't really know it. The bond proceeds, again, same thing, right? The bond proceeds, a $6 million increase is a great gift, but you don't know when it's going to, you don't know because you don't know the market, but you do know when you're going to find out, right?
Well, this specifically, we've been holding on to it, and we didn't want to budget for it until we had the money. So this is different than our other interest earnings. This is, we have that money in our trustee account, but we have not asked the board to allocate that interest earnings to projects yet. The original project fund that was issued, that was allocated to projects through board action. This is money that we've earned on the interest, as we've been investing it over the last several years. And so now it's money that's available, and let's give that to projects. Let's have the board allocate that money to projects now.
I just want it explained. It's just one thing to have it in the reports, but it's just not explained.
Okay.
So that's all. I just want it explained. It's always good for people to know. It says it here, the increase reflects interest earnings on bond funds that have not previously been appropriated by the board, but it's also never been explained where it came from. So it's just good to just tell them, it's transparency, right? Is, okay, we got $6 million, where does the $6 million come from? Because we keep hearing about you're raising rates, but we're also earning money. We're also earning money. We're trying to find ways to earn money to offset
The rate.
some of the rate plan so that we don't have to raise it 18%. Right? So, okay, going to the expenditure side, always fun. The personnel budget increased by 2.8 million.
Yep.
Says 1.9 million is employee benefits, primarily due to a correction to the pension UAL.
Yep.
Now, you know good and well what's going to happen when you say pension UAL. You know what's going to happen.
Like an explanation of what the UAL
You're going
is.
to have to get into a explanation of what the UAL is. And we have to get into an actuarial class, right?
CalPERS determined UAL.
I know, but we're going to have to get into a class about it. I don't want to go into an actuarial class about an unfunded accrued liability. I don't have to get into that class, so let's just say it out loud. Let's just say it first. Get ahead of it. Just say it, right? And I know you're going to say, well, CalPERS provides it to, it's not going to stop the questions. So let's just get ahead of it, right? Let's get ahead of it. Let's tell them what it is in front of them telling us. And it says, which resulted in higher projected pension costs. So before we even get to the MOU and the MOUs, I want to get ahead of this, the correction to the estimate. You can only estimate based on the information that you have in front of you, right? And then CalPERS does a look back, and then they give you the real number, right? So I think that that's what you can say. I think that there's two things, right? You have funded liability, unfunded liability. Just tell them what it is up front so that you don't have, okay, I never understand unfunded accrued liability. That's what you're going to hear. We hear it every single time. I don't understand the difference. So just tell them. Okay. Just tell them the difference right there. Just say, for information purposes, here's the difference between funded liability and unfunded liability. And this is how we we estimate based on, and then we put aside monies based on this estimate. CalPERS does a look back, and they tell us, hey, you're pretty close, or you're spot on, or you put too much away, or you didn't put enough away. This is how much you actually need to contribute. In this case, because of everything that's happening in the world, we needed to put away an additional, what is it, 1.9? 1.9 million in benefits. That's neither here nor there. That's nobody's fault. It's just the way it happens sometimes. Sometimes we put away just enough. Sometimes we put away too much. Sometimes we don't put away enough. It's almost say that because it gave me a chance, but it's a difficult way to try and figure out how it works. But I do think getting ahead of it will slow the conversation. Go ahead.
If I may, on that piece, there's not all of that 1.9 million is UAL. It's also increase in medical benefits and other costs. But just say this is a budget. So now it's when you're 2 years out, it's not as much clarity as when we're 6 months out.
Yes.
So I think this is kind of where we're at, is now that we are right there at the next fiscal year, we have more certainty than what we had a year ago. And so now we're making those adjustments based on the certainty that we have now of what those payments are going to be this next fiscal year.
I would just say that. Just say it. Just say it. Just say that. You say it one sentence, I think will save us 45 minutes of discussion. Okay?
Okay.
Now, how much of these 1.9 is employee benefits?
I would have to go back and look. I don't have that off the top of my head.
Because the way the sentence reads in the staff report, it looks like 1.9 is due to employee benefits. Because it says it. Well, it says primarily due, but it does look like it's there.
Right.
And it does say, the next sentence says increase also reflects. I would split it up. So you can say how much of it is due to employee benefits and how much of it is due to the negotiated salary increase.
So you want it defined in the staff report?
I want to split it up, okay? Now, because the second part of it is board directed, right? Part of it is directed by CalPERS, and then the second part of it is board directed. We directed the salary increase. So that conversation should not occur because we directed it. So I think, let's keep those two separate things,
Okay.
okay? Salary increases with the employee bargaining units. And I think I would say board approved. There, right? The increase also reflects the board approved negotiated salary increases.
Okay.
That'll stop all the conversation because we approved it. We did approve it. The wastewater treatment costs increased by just over 700,000. Utility costs increase. And all of these are just costs, they're just, you mentioned it in your, I think it's on this page right here, right? These are just cost of doing business, right? And it's inflationary costs, mostly inflationary costs, right? So I would just emphasize that. It's just inflationary costs, and it's no cost that we can control. They're inflationary costs, and we only know what we know right now. And so we're estimating this for the budget increase, but they're inflationary costs. And I like that you said that year-to-year increases in the utilities plus 35%, waste, gas and electric plus 40%, chemical costs 10 to 15%, that you're seeing that. It wasn't in the staff report, which I think it should be, that part, but that should be in here too. I will put it in here. Just say what you're seeing. Because I believe, Deputy General Manager, you guys have been talking about this for the last 2 years. This year-to-year increase of this 35, 40%. and another, 10 to, Mr. Weiner kept saying that too. He's seeing anywhere from 10 to 25% in the chemical costs, and 35% in one instance that I wrote down in the chemical costs. And I think the public needs to know that, because that's what's feeding in to our need for that 12%. As much as you can document that and keep saying it over and over in these meetings is going to be necessary to underscore why these 12%. This is not just making up numbers. This is what's underpinning these expenses that's needed, because that 12% rate increase is directly tied to operational expenses. It's not tied to oh, we need to give the employees raises. It's tied to why, to how we're gonna make sure your wastewater is flowing underneath your house. And that's that chemical cost. So as much as you can put this in here, so when somebody goes to the website and they download these presentations from board meetings or whatever, I want them to be able to see this, okay? So I would put that here, that these expenses have increased, these 35, 40% chemical costs, and that they're mandatory. These are requirements. These aren't things that are, luxury items. These are requirements. Along with, there was something in here, I know we're gonna be dealing with it in another meeting, but the requirement to meet the greenhouse gases requirement by 2035 and 2040 requires us to change our fleet. There's a huge lift, and there's a lot of money that we have to invest. The technology requirements that we're doing, all of that, and along with that, when you change all of that, there's a professional development requirement, because now you gotta have people who are operating systems. All of that should be in here, because that means that now there's another 10, 15, 20, 30% that needs to go into the budget to make sure you have people who can operate the systems properly. And that's money. I haven't seen anybody who's giving this away for free. I looked, I ain't find it. If you find it, please let me know. But that transparency is necessary for people to understand. So there's what I was looking for. And so when I was looking at the professional development increases, you said it was increasing by 162 as a result of expanded employee travel and related employee training and related travel. Please say why, right? Because in here, I'm gonna talk to both of you. It just says that in there, but it doesn't say why. Okay, so why are they traveling? And it's similarly with the one for the board. Why? Why are we traveling? Again, I'm going to tell you, 90% of this, especially for employees, they have to. You have to know how to use these systems. You got to know how to use these new chemicals, right? They're not just traveling because they're traveling. They need this for their jobs, right? These positions call for it. These trainings call for them to be able to do the work, and some of this work is dangerous. Some of this work is dangerous work, right? So they need this for the health and safety and the welfare and the operating these systems. So I would just say it. Just put it out in plain English so they understand, okay?
Okay.
I would put it in the staff report, and I would put it in your presentation.
Okay.
Even if you speak to it, you can just put a one-liner, whatever you put in staff report, just condense it into a one sentence in the presentation, but say it when you present it, okay? And you can say, I like how you said the supplies and materials budget reflects adjustments for rising costs of goods. The same thing with travel. The travel budget is reflecting the rising cost of travel, air travel, hotels, what is it, Madam Clerk? What am I saying? The conference costs, right? All of those they've increased. And they've increased because the costs of the hotels and the venues and all of that has increased. So I would just reflect that too, okay? I know I'm giving you a lot of information.
We're all
but-
good. Keep going.
Okay. The non-operating expenses, whichever page that is. Non-operating expenses, I'm still on the staff report because I'm going through it. It'll reflect it in your presentation.
So it is right there, but I,
So the non-operating expenses, it says is projected to increase by 6.2 million, and it's driven by our initiative to replace equipment and vehicles. Again, reflect back to the strategic plan on where that is. This is why I like you to talk about the strategic plan in the staff report as well as on the presentation, because there's us telling you, right? And again, it goes back to the requirement from not just the board, but from the state to meet those 2035 requirements, the GHG goals. It's not just the board telling you to do this, the state is telling you, you have to meet these requirements. So what is important that the public knows that some of this is being driven from the outside, and we have to do it. The state is requiring us to meet these requirements. So you're gonna have to replace the equipment and vehicles, do some facility upgrades, and, okay, so to initiate planning studies and repair the aging infrastructure. I just came from 3 conferences, and every one of those conferences, you were at 2 of them, talked about the same thing, that we're getting all these mandates down. They're not giving us much money for them, but these unfunded mandates have to be met. And one of the things that was a common theme was all of it can't be, and we recognize that all of it cannot be relied on the backs of ratepayers. So we've got to figure out something else, but it has to be done. So we have to be transparent about it. So these capital expenditures are estimated annually, 3 million in new funding. The CSO spot repairs, I still want to see that heat map for these. I know some of you don't know what I'm talking about, but we used to get it. We used to get a heat map, yellow, green, and blue, and red, yellow, green, and red, that showed us the priority. I know Director Alvarado and Director Wiener know what I'm talking about, but we used to get a heat map, and that would be wonderful to have with the CSO spot repairs. I digress, but this is what I would like to see on this, tie it back to strategic plan, tie it back to any mandates that we must adhere to. On this page 9 of the staff report, 9 of 40, there's just a small typo. It says the costs from the technology action, there's an N missing on plan. And then it says TAP, just FYI. It says PLA instead of plan. Just so you know. And then the debt coverage ratio, what was my question here? I put a comment. What was my comment? I don't even know. What was it? My comment was, oh, it says that the estimated debt ratio is 1.31, which is above the target ratio of 1.2. 2 things. I want to tie this to the strategic plan, of course, but do we have a plan to reduce it to the desired target?
It's actually in our benefit to have it higher than the target.
Okay,
So-
then I want you to say,
So for future, well, in our current rate plan, the
Yeah.
board decided we don't want to borrow money, but there will be
No.
a time in the future. We need that, reserve coverage up so we can, so when the time comes to borrow again, because we are going to have large capital projects in the future, that we'll be able to borrow when needed.
so let me make myself a note. Can you tie this to the strategic plan, please?
yes.
And can you make that comment? Because right now, it just says, which is above the target ratio of 1.2. That's what it says, right?
Yes, but I think in practicality, it's the minimum ratio required as part of our bond covenants.
That's what I want you to say.
But we really need, it's to our benefit to have it higher.
Can you make that comment, please?
Okay.
That's my note to you. I think it's nice to have that comment. The last two things on this, page 10. The strategic plan alignment, you have it here, but it's like at the end. Like I said, I would like to see it throughout. It's fine that you have it at the end, but I like to see it throughout. And the staff consideration, that's fine. So those last two items are fine. Now, on the presentation, on the second slide, overview revenues and expenditures, a couple of things. You said the operating revenue, I mentioned this already, the 42.1 is the projection based on the 12% rate increase, pending June board approval. That's the maximum allowable increase that the board will be approving. And it's based on, and this is based on what you were going to mention, that this is based on the information that we know now. And the district's best estimates for what is needed for the operation, right? On the expenditures for the personnel, again, I want you to mention that this is linked to the board-approved negotiated increases. Okay? Because right now, it's just about personnel, and you mentioned that this was that, but it should say it, even if it's in a footnote or whatever. But I do think it needs to be on this slide somewhere. Because the same way you mentioned the projections are based on a 12% increase, right now it just says personnel, so it looks like we're just hiring a bunch of people. And it doesn't reflect. When I first looked at it, I was like, wait a minute, we hiring small people? We're getting $3 million? And it doesn't, there's no way if I looked at this slide, I would know that that has to do with and I didn't look at the staff report, I would not know that that's the board-approved negotiated increases. So you can put a footnote, you can do whatever you need to do to make sure that that's the board-approved negotiated increases to the existing staff. The supplies, again, this is an estimate. I do think you need to say that. This is an estimate, and it's based more or less on what you know now and the inflation that's been caused. I like what you said earlier, that the year-to-year increases have been up, anywhere from 10, 15, 40%. We don't know. Well, for supplies and services, from 10, 15 to 40% when we look at utilities and energy costs. So, I mean, we still don't know. We keep bombing people, could be 50%. I don't know. I just know that we need to be clear with the public. This is not us not trying to get the best price possible, but this is more or less based on inflation and cost increases. Market is a marketplace. In the marketplace, anybody who's had to go fill up their car, or even if it's electric, the prices are increasing, okay? So I would make a note for that one as well. Director King Meredith, please feel free to jump in if you have something that, if you want to say something before I keep going on and on. But
No, matter of fact, the page that I was looking at, and again, I was saying page 7, and you found it. I'm looking at 7 to 21, and I was looking at the different variations from what has been adopted and what is being proposed. So I had just a question on where we're looking at, where one was actually less than what the projection was, had increased from what we had started, from what it had adopted. And I think you've already gone through that.
Okay.
For looking at the revenues and the expenses, and what is the expenditures is gonna be. So that's the page that I was looking for when I said 7, and it was another page. But anyway, you've gone through it, and I've made my notes.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The same with non-operating. Again, same thing. We're replacing the vehicles. We are, we've got a lot of things that we just make the caveat that that part of that is, some of its mandates, some of its requirements. Just make the caveat there and just include it in the presentation. Some people only look at the presentation. They don't look at anything else, right? You want it right there in front of them. I just think it's really, really important, especially because we have people who are
Here we go.
skilled in misinformation. I'm just gonna say that. What else was I going to say?
And Madam Chair, if I can,
Okay,
I
while I
found what
get
I
the
was.
next one.
Yes. And going back to the reserves, well, I have 16 out of 21.
Oh, no, we're not there yet.
We're not-
Just hold that one, hold that thought, because I'm gonna get to
Okay.
reserves.
All right,
Let me get
let
to
me go
reserves.
back.
Let's go
I'm
to the
ahead.
initiatives,
Okay,
the next page.
sorry.
So on the truck, it says vehicle replacements. So this one only says including one vacuum truck, right?
Yes,
It's a new truck, right?
yes.
It's a replacement of an existing truck. So we're, all of the vehicle replacements, they're not, we're replacing existing vehicles. So that one is, because it's such a large purchase, I think it was closer to 650,000 was the estimate. So it's the bulk of that 1 million. And then there's a few
Fleet vehicles.
pickup trucks that would also, they're part of the replacement list.
Okay. Let me think about it. And then I would put an S on, it says staff repair. I think you mean repairs, plural, right?
Okay.
This is the CSOs, right?
Yes, yeah, that's, it's not one project, it's multiple over the course of the years
Yeah,
as they're
yeah.
identified through their,
So I think it's staff, I
maintenance
think it's repairs, all right, okay. And the equipment, what are we talking here? Is this all equipment? What equipment? Because it's not the vehicles.
so that would be things like pumps at lift stations that are, what are not included in capital projects that staff could go and purchase.
So it's
and get
non-capital
installed.
equipment.
It's, yeah, it could be categorized for the kind of accounting purposes as capital, but it's not part of a capital project. So these are, we need to rehab or refurbish an existing pump. And that, but that'll be done at like the operations level. Or they need to purchase a new pump at a lift station or a new pump as part of the treatment plant processes. And so those are some of the estimated costs in there. I think there's also some related to clean and green. Is that in that category,
The
Maria?
No, the cleaning, all the equipment being used, even little pickups are going into clean and green.
No, I'm referring to that category because there's vehicle replacements, But then there's some equipment related to clean and green transition to operations that are,
It might be. I'd have to look at the
that would
exact
be,
list.
I believe that might be part of equipment. So there's some other pieces of equipment that, say like it's not included as a vehicle, like the vehicle is a rolling stock that's licensed, then there's equipment like forklifts.
Yeah.
Like, so they're gonna have to purchase a forklift as part of solids operations once that
But
component
it's
is.
operational. I mean, I don't
It's
want to.
operational, right, so
Yeah,
they're
I don't wanna
operational
I don't want to
things.
get into the
Right.
weeds, but like operational, but
Right.
it is operational.
It would be operational
And
equipment.
the reason I'm asking is so it's, again, this is estimated again. So if you don't buy that forklift
Tomorrow.
tomorrow, it might be 70% higher in August based on what's been happening in the market. That's my point, is that because some of this is operational equipment, it could be subject to another uplift. That's what I'm asking, right? Right?
Yes.
Okay, because that's what's happening with much of this in these categories.
It's our best estimate.
That's my, I just want to make sure that when you deliver this, you kind of deliver that message, that this is what you know today.
Yeah.
Because just like the chemicals was one price when we did the 25 to 27 budget. And then when you came back in the mid-year, it was like, surprise, we didn't know that there was gonna be this huge, thing happening that's gonna swing it up 40%. And I just want people to be aware that just because it says 820 today, doesn't mean we don't know, plain and simple. There was a time when you could say it was 820, and then you come back a year later and it might be 830.
The prices
But
didn't
it
used to-
wasn't gonna be 920.
They didn't used to fluctuate, there was periods of time that it didn't fluctuate as much, but it's, because without quotes in hand, ready to issue a purchase order, these are the best estimates that we have at this time.
That's the statement that I'm looking for, because I'm just telling you, this is how I know I have to operate. And so I just want to make sure that that's why I asked you if it was operational, because when it's operational, it does have that kind of, we have to be ready to buy, or the price is going to be subject to change within 60 to 90 days. Okay? That's it. That's all I wanted to know. Director King Meredith, anything on that one before I move?
No, let's move.
Okay. Same with the technology, right? And I think with this one, I just wanted to remember you have it in the footnote, but to remind the board that this is the beginning. It is not a project. This is the beginning of the framework. Okay? All right? This is the beginning of the framework of the plan. That's what the P is in the plan. I know you have the initiative there, and I would put a star up there where it says TAP and put what that means at the bottom,
Okay.
right? Because they're not gonna remember what TAP is. I'm just gonna guarantee you that right now. It's not gonna happen. What's a TAP initiative, even though we just approved it 2 weeks ago? Just put that it's the technology action, and that's a plan, and yes. And this is the first part of it that we are entering into. And I would even go further and say that the SCADA system is a huge critical part of it, right? And it's not one little,
Part.
The whole system, network frame, yeah.
it's a network frame. It's another framework, right? It's not like it's Microsoft. It's not like it's what do you call it? Like Microsoft Excel or something that you just.
It's not one
It's not one
software.
software.
It's a
Yeah.
combination of hardware and software to manage the operations of our treatment plant.
Yeah, and we have to have it. But I think you have to be very transparent and clear, and you're gonna have to keep explaining it over and over again whenever they see the words SCADA, because I still don't think people understand that one, and they don't understand what ERP is or GIS is, and that those are entire systems, operational systems. They're not just a piece of software, right? And ERP is not a piece of software, it's an entire system used to manage, that's why it's called enterprise, right? It's used to manage an entire set of operations, administrative operations, and GIS is used throughout the organization. So I think you're just gonna have to continue to say that. But when we have these acronyms like TAP and SCADA and ERP and GIS, just put a small footnote and put the definition.
Okay.
And I know that it seems overkill because we do it on every presentation, but some people don't see every presentation, and some people, even when they do, they don't know what it is.
Miss it.
They will miss it, okay? Just remind them that this is, again, the living, breathing document, and this is phase 1. Anything to add, Director King Meredith?
No, we can keep moving.
All right, thank you. All right. All right. Let me see what's next. We're almost there. The Board of Directors, professional development, same thing as I mentioned before. I think it's you mentioned that it's a modest increase, but I also think it needs to mention, just like we did with the staff joining, there is an increase in the fees to attend, the conference fees and the travel costs, whether it's airline, hotel, the cost of doing business is just up. And even parking is higher for local. It's just, everything is just higher. So I think this is all I had on that one. Now, we want to talk about this one, community sponsorships.
Yes.
And, because I know that there's some missing on here, and I think
Right.
that's,
We did not include every single one.
Yes.
I think for this conversation, it's kind of parameter of the budget.
Yes.
This is, we've, if all those numbers added up, we're looking at, like 35,000 or so. Because there's also some discussion or question of, do we want to continue at that level for the National Stewardship Action Council?
no,
Because there is a lower level that we could still get a similar benefit.
yeah.
So then you could use that additional funds for other sponsorship.
Right.
So, is 35,000, is 50,000, what would be the appropriate level? Because, it depends on what sponsorship opportunities come up and that the board
Yeah.
are interested in pursuing. Yeah.
I made a note for myself because this is one that we have given the GM authority to,
Up to 5,000?
Up to 5,000,
And then
yeah.
anything above, we would come to the FNA committee and would get authorization through.
absolutely. So we've given him authority to approve, especially some of the local, the North Richmond Jazz, what's the one that Arto does, the Director Rentilo does?
Oh, that was the,
And,
was it the Black History Month?
Well, that one, but no,
Celebration?
but no, he does the one like with the lowrider cars and then he does the one at the church with the,
Rentila.
Yes, yeah,
Director
there's
Rentila.
been a few, smaller,
he has some few ones, they're like a
$200.
few $100s,
Yeah.
and he does like 3 or 4 of them
So
like
we've
that.
done one of those, yeah.
One,
Yeah.
it does the one with the trunk at the Halloween.
Trunk or treat,
and
yeah.
some other
Trunk or
ones.
treat.
That's
for the
more
church.
staff
So-
cost
Yeah.
involved than that, but yeah,
So
smaller dollar
and then
value, sure.
you did the North Richmond Jazz, and then then the one, there's another one in San Pablo. So, and smaller ones like that. We did the one for when Director McNeil's park. We sponsored that one. So I would like, so my proposal, Director King Meredith, is that we just have a flat rate of the 50,000
Okay.
and have the GM report it in his quarterly report
What has been spent, yeah.
of because I also think, I've talked to the GM about this before, there are certain conferences that outside of just doing the foundation scholarships, there's certain scholarships that we also sponsor like CASA and CSDA and COWEF and WELL and the Stewardship Council, and also, what's the other one? The one we go to every month. The, and Mr. Weiner goes with us, you and I, and you do
It
too.
was El Sobrano Stroll is.
No, Elsa Brennan Show, no, the
He's like
leadership,
the
the leadership, East Bay Leadership.
East Bay Leadership Group,
East
yes,
Bay
yeah.
Leadership Foundation.
Right.
And those, but we also sponsor like, BACWA and the biosolids, the actual conference,
Yes.
right? When we're buying the conference, and we put that in our
Yes, so those are types
bylaws.
of,
And
yeah.
so those kind of things, the general manager would have approval to just sponsor the actual conference, which is different from, which is beneficial for the agency. Like when CSDA has its annual conference, we buy a table, and there's a bunch of us who will usually attend that. We've attended before, and then we have a table at the conference, and we are present at the conference. So that's my proposal to send to the board, Director King Meredith. And he has a total to spend out of that. And he doesn't have to spend all of it. That would be his maximum. He doesn't have to spend all of it, but he has it to draw down from.
To draw down from it.
That's what that would be my preference.
Yes, we can,
And I would be,
Because we have it.
because I would be willing to work to
identify
raise
it.
this money, to identify money to put into these accounts, because I can raise this money to identify monies to go into that. Director King Meredith, you good with that amount?
I'm good with that amount.
Okay. This is my preference. Did you need something else on this one? But that's
no,
what you
no,
wanted,
that is
right?
sufficient. We really just wanted
Okay.
a discussion on budget number.
Okay.
So that we can include that as the board presentation, yeah.
That would be mine.
Right.
Now, the budgeted revenues by source, fine, we're fine with that. The revenue updates, I just wanted you to tell us expected 12%. Again, put on the first line, expected 12%, put the caveat,
Maximum.
the maximum, and that expected to be approved by the board, blah, blah, blah. That caveat, that the board is, it's pending board approval in June, right?
Yep.
And that this is the maximum 12%, whatever, that is the maximum amount. The higher interest income, again, the explanation that you provided in the staff report, provided here.
Okay.
Just, yeah. And the biosolid operating agreement, again, always put good news up front. I like it, right? The bond proceeds, again, same thing that we discussed earlier, the deputy general manager, that this is something that came in because it's something new. It's new information to the board. So same thing that you said that I asked you to put in the staff report, I would say here.
Okay.
And the last thing is the capacity charge elimination. Why? What's the rationale?
So I can just speak a little bit to that. It's more infrequent. We've noticed a sharp decrease in the number of applications
New connections.
recently. I mean, so it's something that we would come back kind of, since it's a smaller dollar value, there could be a huge project in a couple of years, and all of a sudden it's $3 million. But until it's more certain, we don't want to come and budget for it. So it'd be something more that we would do at a mid-year adjustment. So it's, and that revenue can only be used for capital projects, so it is restricted. But we don't want to count on it at this point, but so anything extra that comes in, we'll come back and report to the board as budget updates.
Okay. So I would just say that. I think that saying that is more clear than just taking it out. Just say that. It's interesting because I was at the East Bay Mud meeting yesterday, and they're adding. a supplemental charge for capacity, and we're taking it out of our revenue. We're taking it out of our budget, and they're adding one. So I would just say exactly what you're saying, right? Okay? That was it on that one. Explain. All right. That wasn't yesterday, it was Tuesday. I lost my days. Status of expenditures. On this one, same thing, you've already explained it in your verbiage, now you're just giving a graphical explanation of what you were already saying. The only thing I would say here is, like I said earlier, add the little icons in the upper right-hand corner of how it ties to the strategic budget. And then I've already told you what to add on the next page on the expense budget updates is to add that extra information for each of those lines, right? So you already know what to add there. I think, let me see, add additional information as discussed. I'm making a note for myself. I think that's it. And then on the reserves, we're on the reserves now, Director King Meredith. On the operating reserve, I think that's putting a footnote that points back to the policy would be most helpful, so we don't have to get into a conversation about it.
Okay.
They say it's per policy, 50% must, this must reflect 50% of the operating expenses. Keep it really simple. Just put it there, right? And the same thing with emergency reserves. Director King Meredith, you wanted to say something about this page?
Right, I was just curious, thank you. I was just curious about the capital program, program reserve. I think you had already mentioned that, about the 9.3 million and how it has decreased, for looking at, for the expenditures for the reserves for the FY '27. Right now, we're holding at 9.3, but then again, for FY '27, it's 6.1
Yeah.
million.
Just explain, the working capital reserves, those amounts fluctuate throughout the year because they're essentially, think of it as like your savings account. So it makes sure that we have sufficient funds at the beginning of the fiscal year to continue to do these operations and to pay for these expenses. Because we have a large getting any major revenue. So these are, we start at the year with, this estimated amount, it dips down, and then end of the year, they come back up, is kind of how it happens in practice. The capital program reserve is, the policy is 50% of sewer rate funded capital projects. So with the idea of, as they're moving forward with those capital projects, that we'll have cash for the first 6 months of the year to pay, so they don't have to pause moving forward on projects. So the difference is, FY '26 and FY '27 is that they've been, as some of the projects have been moving forward that were cash funded, there's not as much cash funded projects in fiscal year '27. And so that's kind of how the number reduces. And so in the following year, we have larger volume of, cash funded projects, that reserve is going to increase. Is really depending on the budget or remaining budget for, for the cash funded capital projects.
Carryover, okay. Okay, but thank you. I know you had mentioned somewhat, but I just wasn't too clear on that, okay? Thank you.
All right,
Madam?
you good?
Yes. Mhm.
All right, last one is, so the proposed amended budget. I think just to wrap up, It's just to remind people. Really quick bullets of where we come from, right? And that's it. And to remind them that, again, we only know what we know right now. In this is a snapshot in time of what we know. And because this is the middle of the budget cycle, this is what we know right now. So you're estimating. And what your ask is. This is all I have.
Okay.
Any other questions in direction you need before we bring this? And what's our estimate to bring this?
So we're planning the second meeting in June would be bringing this to the full board for adoption. There will be some additional information, and details that will be provided with the full board, because there's several annual items that we need to update. So there'll be position control list. We didn't talk significantly about it. We're not adding any positions this next fiscal year. But, so position control list, the salary schedule, GAN appropriation limit, which is required as part of, we receive property taxes. So there's just a few other additional details that would be provided to the full board along with this budget update.
All right. Okay, so. Okay, so with that, I'm gonna ask for a motion to authorize the staff to present this budget update to the full board with the amendments and revisions that we have articulated. Madam, you want to move it?
Yes.
Just say so moved.
So move.
All right, I'll second it. And staff, you have your
We have our direction.
direction.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
From the committee. Thank you.
Yes, all right. With that, 10:30, we move to the next item. Thank you.
Okay, next item is item 3 on the agenda is to review and discuss proposed purchasing policy revisions and recommend revisions to the full board for consideration and approval. Madam Clerk, have we received written comments on this item or requests to speak?
We have not. If anyone wishes to comment on item 3, purchasing policy revisions, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no public comments.
Okay, with that, we can just kind of go through proposed revisions to the purchasing policy. I think if you both have it up, we provided a track changes
Yes.
version as part of the agenda packet. And so if it's kind of makes sense to the committee, I can just kind of go point by point. Just as an introduction, it's been about 5 years since this policy in this area, since we've been reviewed it. So it's been, it's time to review a purchasing policy. We've looked at it from kind of partially implementation side, so we've made some clarifications in here, made some adjustments, and then we're making some recommendations on certain dollar thresholds on the types of purchasing. But we can get into that a little bit more detail. So with that, I'm happy just to kind of start off. At the very beginning, we didn't make really any proposed changes on the purpose. Section A, we are proposing to add a number 8, because I know as a board and as a committee, we've heard this many times about local businesses. We don't have a specific, as a sanitary district, I think there's certain things regulations that don't necessarily apply to us, but we wanted to at least encourage and have it adding that we want to engage in proactive outreach to local, small, and underrepresented business enterprises as part of our purchasing.
Do you want to make the full presentation or you want us to stop you?
Well, yeah, however, I think it may make sense just that as each of these changes, we just have any comments or suggestions from the committee. Yeah, that might make sense, and then we just kind of go point by point.
Okay. So do you have any comments, or you want me to go? Director?
I just have, it was just a typo, I just wanted to clarify.
Go ahead.
one of them.
Sure.
But it was number 3.
No, we're on number 3.
Oh, so you found something in the
Right,
policy?
yeah,
like-
it's
sure.
just in the policy.
Okay.
Okay, let's,
Number 3?
yeah, wait a minute. It was lit, instead of lit, by formal bidding procedures.
No, we're still up here.
You see
We're
at the
still up
top?
here.
Well, I'm way ahead, okay.
Yeah, so we're
Okay,
in
when I get, yeah.
section 1, part A, number 8 is kind of where we're started.
Right here,
We're right here.
okay.
So this is on page, well, the second page of the policy.
Okay.
Yeah, page 2 of the policy.
Okay, so I got my notes,
Yeah, we're
okay.
not there yet.
Not yet, ooh, I'm just so ahead, well, I'm rushing everybody. Sorry.
You got somewhere to go.
No, I'm sorry, I'm just so ahead everybody, okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so here, what I wanted to add or ask is I wanted to add, I think that for local, small, and underrepresented businesses, they don't always operate solo, so I wanted to add directly or through associations representing the enterprises at the end, because a lot of small businesses operate through chambers, or they operate like, they operate through small business associations, or they operate through, the Black business, Asian business, Hispanic business chamber, something like that. So I think the outreach needs to go to them as well.
Okay.
So the wording is directly or through associations representing the enterprises.
Okay. Yeah. All right, moving on, so it's still section 1, part C, gift prohibition. We were just adding, as a typo, adding a word in number 1 when the procurement is pending, is adding there.
Yes, and so I'm gonna make this next comment, and it's gonna be throughout this entire document, and it's me. And so, you know how they say, it's not you, it's me. It's me. It's, yes, ma'am. Robin? Oh, oh, you just listening to me?
Hey, you're getting closer.
I'm gonna make this comment. It's a global comment, and like I said, it's me, and it's just me, how I draft things. It's whenever I see this word, when I see, because it's throughout, and sometimes it'll have like a number, and it'll say like 60, SIXTY, and then it'll say a parenthetical 60, and sometimes it won't. And so I just would like it to be consistent, to say the word and then the parenthetical number. I would just like it to be consistent throughout it. And then the second part of that is, I really wanted to say calendar days, so we know the difference between if it's calendar or business, because it doesn't say that at all. So I would like to know, are we talking about calendar days or business days? Or some other kind of days, I don't know, but it doesn't say it in here. So, or work days, that's the other days. So it could be either, but I think it should be calendar days, unless you guys are talking about some other. It's calendar days. So I think throughout the document, if we can correct it so that it's calendar days, that would be great. And I'm gonna have that same comment on all of our contracts, because I've seen some contracts that came my way, and it doesn't say that. So if we can correct like our contracts to say the same thing, so that it's the word, parenthetical, the number, and then calendar days, that would be great.
If you don't mind, can we put that on our list for template updates? We do them sort of in a chunk so that we can kind of incorporate
That would be
things.
wonderful.
So we will put that on the list.
Thank you. That would be wonderful, because it's just me. It's a pet peeve of mine. Thank you. Then I won't say it again for the rest of the document.
Okay, so we'll go through as part of the.
Yeah,
those
and
updates
it's,
continue to-
wait,
Great.
there is one more. It's the same thing when there's a dollar figure. I have that same kind of thing. I like to see the dollar spelled out, so that if there's a conflict between, okay, did they mean $63 or they mean, spell it out and then put it in parenthetical, but for this one, it's fine. Same thing. It's just the way I was taught. So,
Okay.
anyway. Okay.
All right, so moving on to number 2 of this section is when a procurement is not pending. We've just crossed out the specific reference to disclosure category of our conflict of interest code. We just think that's relevant just if you're on the conflict of interest code. I think this makes it a little clearer for staff. And then we updated the dollar value of gifts as up to the FPCC limit. So we've updated that to from 520 to 630.
And with that one, I think my only comment was to make sure that board members know that that amount has changed as well, because I know that that's an update. I mean, I know there's an update only because I know it's an update, but I think board members need to know it's an update.
Right.
And staff needs to know, people who are subject to the conflict need to know it's an update.
If I can make a suggestion, we can, I think, certainly mention that as an update in this item, but I think we also are scheduled to do a training on
We are.
gifts.
We are.
And so we can raise it there
That's
as
why I
well.
meant, that's why I meant. I just want to make sure that I just want to make sure that this is really pointed out, because this is an update.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
board and staff, because the training is for board, but staff who are subject to these
Correct.
also need to make sure that they're trained or updated, so to speak.
Right. Okay, move on to section number 2, which is Roman numeral 2, methods of procurement. So we added a preamble paragraph here that just referencing that the procurement method is separate from the authority, the purchasing authority that is separately delegated. The board has done that through the management resolution. And there's also the general manager has sub-delegated to specific positions, different dollar amounts as according to his authority. And so we just wanted to, morally on the staff side, so that they understand that, there is the purchase, the authority for approval is, doesn't necessarily, is there's a distinction between that authority of approval and the dollar value and the purchasing and the solicitation methodology. And so it's just that it's, we're clarifying that even if it is within, say, an employee's authority, that does not mean we may need competitive solicitation. So we wanted just to clarify that in the first paragraph. And so moving on to the next part of this is A. And this is going to flow into, because we have it broken down into goods, equipment, material, supplies. We have a services section. There's a public contract section. But at least in these next 2 sections, we're making a recommendation to up the dollar threshold, whereas you may not need solicited competitive quotes or bids or proposals, but you may still want to do it. But we wanted to increase that dollar value limit up to the general manager authorized limit of 50,000. So from 25,000 to 50,000 in that number 1. And then similar in number 2, we wanted to increase the limit requiring informal quotes from 50,000 from 25 thousand to make it, it used to be 25,000 to 50,000, and we wanted to make that between 50,000 and 100,000. And so we also included some information about what an informal quote may include of how, especially this is on equipment and supplies, because some of these are just catalog purchases, and so we wanted to just clarify for staff of ways that they could get what would be categorized as an informal quote. You know, it could be simple as an email, quote from that particular company. And then we also, on this section, we added, in a lot of cases, it does make a lot, especially with equipment and supplies, if you know exactly what you're getting, it's kind of off the shelf, to choose the lowest responsive and responsible offer. And so I think that caused some confusion when it had a best, kind of the best value only on, especially for equipment and supplies. So we just wanted to add clarification that we want to do lowest and responsive prices as well.
And if I could add to that, directors, you've seen, we've brought items to the board where we're asking to waive the requirements of the purchasing policy to do things like this, to award on the basis of the lowest responsive and responsible bidder rather than best value, because there are instances where the lowest cost is really what's preferred. So a number of these changes are really to identify those items where in the past we've had to come to the board and seek a waiver from the procurement policy, and to just fold that flexibility into the procurement policy at this juncture.
Yeah, and then the second, oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I understand it. I think my confusion is who is making the decision not to solicit? Who's making the decision not to solicit?
Under the first category,
Under
under less than $50,000?
under both of them, because it says you've changed it. You've upped it to 50,000 to 100,000 in both 1, 2, active 1, 2, and 3. You've upped the dollar value. So who's making the decision?
So for item A1, under $50,000, we have the languages may but need not solicit competitive quotes, bids, or proposals, and that's because West County's standard practice in general, and Deputy General Manager can correct me if I'm misstating this in any way, West County's general practice is always to obtain some level of competition. So the language here is acknowledging that that is our standard practice, and that is usually what is done, but giving flexibility to say sometimes we won't, and those instances will really be staff level determination. So staff is going to look at this and make the determination that in fact this is an instance where further solicitation isn't really necessary for some reason, or not in the agency's interest for some reason.
And what ends up happening, it is not only the staff is making the recommendation and is going to be going up to the department director, and a lot of times it ends up either with myself, our other deputy general manager, or with our general manager, who's ultimately saying, yes, that is the appropriate course of action.
But it doesn't say that. And I'm going to tell you, my heartburn with this is that when I came to this district, the same few people were getting all of the work. They were getting all of the bids, they were getting all of the offers, all of the proposals were going to the same few people. And we had a problem with this. I had a problem with this. There was like the same few directors, we all had a problem with this. So none of the, especially the smaller contracts, none of our local vendors were getting any work. And that is a problem for me. And so I get it, but some of these expenditures under $25,000 or $50,000 should not be going to, it just breeds a certain level of favoritism, corruption, whatever you want to call it. So I don't want it at the staff level. And I get it that it's more convenient and that it might be easier, but there has to be a control mechanism that says that somebody is making a decision that is fair and reasonable and that is based on some objective criteria and that is not based on who you know and you're only giving it to this person because I don't have to do this work or because I know them. And that's what I want to make sure we're looking out for. Well, I know that this person can do the work, so I'm going to feed it over here to them. So what measures do we have in place to make sure, going back to what you just added in on number 8, that we're going to reach out to small, local, and underrepresented business enterprises? How do we make sure that that's going to happen if we have staff who don't know small, local, underrepresented businesses, and they're just feeding it to the same people? I want to make sure that what we just are getting ready to adopt or recommend for adoption is going to happen when I'm putting the controls into a staff level that may not know that.
What if, so two thoughts. I think one thing certainly we could do is we could document the process that the deputy general manager just explained, that it actually, it's not, and when I said staff, I really meant just agency staff, so there's going to be a hierarchy of approvals. The other thing that we could add is language in this section explaining that the agency will, and I'm just going to kind of spitball some language, but, sort of make best efforts to spread out these contracting opportunities over various contractors so that you don't have this kind of funneling to the same folks out of habit or practice or whatever the reason might be, but that in fact staff will make an effort to really spread those out. I think do you think that would help to address the concerns?
I do. I just don't see a contract administrator having a warrant of $50,000 or $100,000, $150,000. We don't even see that in GSA. They don't have warrants that high.
So is your concern the approval of the actual contract then?
The
'Cause that's gonna be with the general
approval,
manager.
not just approval of the award, right?
That's going to be with the general manager. So
Right,
that's
but the approval of the award starts before it gets to the contract, right?
Right.
So the approval because the approval not to solicit it starts there. So approval not to solicit is powerful. That's a lot of influence to put in a contract administrator's hand. That usually is, director level or senior management level. There's a lot to put when we're talking about, that makes or breaks a small business.
I don't think so I think that's what we can add to this language, is that clarity, because I don't think that's West County's practice, is to leave it at
I
the
know it's not
contract
their practice,
administrators.
but that's not how it reads.
Yeah, so we can add that
That's
to,
what
I think that makes sense.
That's my concern.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we can add that to clarify the process that the deputy general manager laid out, where there's going to be recommendations, but there's going to be higher level, including director level approvals of the decision not to solicit for some reason. And as I said, similarly, an intent to sort of spread these contracts out. I do want to be clear, though, that and maybe this is a drafting thing that we just need to address, under item 2,
Yeah.
this is an informal solicitation process. That's under item 2. The
Okay.
endeavor to obtain is intended to address when there's outreach but no response.
Got
So
it.
if we're reaching out to 3 and 4 vendors, but we're only getting 2 quotes, that the agency shouldn't be sort of hamstrung and not able to proceed with the contract because we're not getting responses. So if that's causing some confusion, I think that's a drafting issue and not the intent of what this section should say.
Yeah, that's, I just want to make sure, and again, and making sure that outreach is documented, because that's where we get our biggest, and I'm going to say me, Director King Meredith, you can speak on your own. If we get our biggest complaints that we didn't even know that there was that we had an
MOU,
opportunity to work
RFP, yeah.
with West County. Where did this go out? And why aren't we getting notification? So, and maybe that's one of the things, right? And maybe that outreach does need to be different or better, and maybe number 8 will help fix that.
Yeah, I mean, I've had quite a few conversations with others about ways to get better responses.
Okay.
And it's not just the I'm going to send out an email on our one platform. There's
Right.
actually work that needs to get involved and
Okay.
needing people.
Okay, I think that that will help that one, and maybe, yeah, the wording that you suggested, general counsel will help with that one. And number one, if, on subsection number one, I think that that will help with that approval, and that the general manager will be approving the contract award will help as well. But that I know for myself, that will help a lot. Director King Meredith, do you have any comments on that one? Approved. And then we will see this in the quarterly report, right?
Right, so anything that's under the, as we're already reporting the general manager contracts, under, I think, we're including purchase orders as well, that those would be kind of under the general manager authority, that we're reporting those back.
Yeah, I think I would like to, this doesn't belong in this policy, but I would like to kind of track what this looks like. What this looks like in practice at some point, so, okay,
Without all that read.
yeah. Okay. All right, we can continue.
Yeah, so going on to, we just had the three items about increasing the amounts and it going up to what's a formal written proposal or bid is up to the $100,000 category now. The other, we made some clarifications. Number 5, it just says when there's no bids or proposals received to competitive solicitation. It just gave, it's just clarifying that the general manager is authorized to procure the item through direct negotiations with the vendor if there's, or resolicit. So we just wanted to clarify the language on when there are no proposals or bids received for those items.
Okay, services.
And then the next section, services, is very similar, same dollar thresholds, and I think those are also updates to what we've just talked about. We could, we would make those changes, but the same dollar amounts and similar modifications are made in this section regarding the services.
Yeah, I do think that, because I've been in these situations before where we've had no bids or proposals, and we've just resolicited. So I think that the general manager entering direct negotiations is one of those things where if it's appropriate and necessary, right? Because sometimes it's appropriate to resolicit. Right? So I think it's as appropriate and necessary. Sometimes it's necessary because there's no time to resolicit. But sometimes it's necessary to resolicit. There's something wrong with our solicitation. There's something wrong with, we need to rewrite the solicitation. Is something wrong with the solicitation itself, or the timing is bad, or something else? So I do think sometimes it's not, the direct negotiation is not something that we need to do. We just need to resolicit. So,
And I think in practice, the instances where West County has gone to direct solicitation are very few and far between. We are looking at and asking exactly those questions. What more outreach could we have done? Would we benefit from resolicitation? And folks have really engaged in that effort in a meaningful way to make sure that the solicitations are robust. So I think that the change that you suggested just aligns with West County's practice.
all right, thank you. All right.
Okay, if we scroll down, so similar, if we go down, I mean, we've, similar changes on the services 1, 2, and 3. We're not making any changes on number 4. A few modifications on number 5, just changing some of the wording about procure, from purchase to procure, because we're also procuring services. And then it's also the same what we've just talked about. If we reject the bids or proposals, or when we may do direct negotiation, or when the general manager is authorized to do direct negotiation or resolicit. So when there's no proposals received as part of the services, similar to like the equipment, that this is through the general manager can make that determination of if it's appropriate for direct negotiations or to resolicit. And so the next number 6 is on we want to make some changes related to the term we're going to
Hold on.
specify. Oh, go ahead.
Hold on,
Yep.
I'm sorry,
No, go
I
ahead.
forgot, was it a typo, or it was just a word missing somewhere?
Right, wait
I
a
forgot to tell you. It is under under services, number, no, is it services? Wait, somewhere. So word bidder was missing, or where was it? Oh, yeah, he's under goods, equipment, materials, under methods of procurement, sorry? 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth line. It says solicit formal written proposals or bids and award to the proposer or bidder that offers either the best value to WCW.
Yeah.
So in this case, I think it would be it is correct, because the proposer that offers either the best value, so that's in a proposal context, and then